Hello, and welcome to this Xbox Life episode 670, Sony's Hypocrisy. I have to really think about that when I say it because I'm just mess up. I'm one of your hosts, Brun BJ Swick 33, and with me this week is Mr. Wingman 709.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Also known as Mark, in real life, and Wingman 709 on Xbox Lives. Sup,
Yeah,
Ron?
awesome.
This is gonna. We're here a little early this week.
Yeah, are we early this week or are we just doing a late from last week? We're
No,
early
we're
this week,
early.
right?
We're early
Okay.
because we took the in the U.S. we had the holiday. This last weekend was holiday, so we took it off, and then we were supposed to record this coming Sunday. And well, that just we just couldn't wait till then to get
Yeah.
on the microphones and talk.
Very true. And we're also using the updated version of Zencaster, which I'm already a little nervous because I didn't see wave formats when you were playing the music. So I'm hoping it's there.
Yeah, it all came through last time, which was
Okay.
weird because we remember our last show, not that anyone cares about this, but our last show, I used the classic interface that we'd always used. And
Yeah.
it wasn't completing its post-production. Like, I mean, it
Uh,
was 6 hours later and it was still like, and I'm like, this never goes this long.
yeah.
And so I'm freaking out, scrambling, downloading all the individual files. Like, what are we gonna, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to manually do this. Well, then as I was waiting, I was reading through emails, and they're like, "Oh, we have a new interface." And I clicked on that. And it went to a completely different interface, which is what I'm using right now.
Yeah.
And I was able to see our stuff there. I'm like, well, let
Right.
me try to post produce it here. So like the data was in the new system, even though we didn't use it, which was weird,
Right.
but that's
Yeah.
where I got the file from. Like,
Interesting.
so and everything was there. So let's hope it works now that we're actually
Yep.
using the new interface.
Yeah. And if
No
anybody's familiar with
guarantees.
Zencaster, I mean, I'm still obviously, I still really like their product and it's pretty impressive. I mean, we've been using it for years. And I remember when it first started. And it's funny because they've been updating. And now I think in Zencaster you can record, produce, and like host now. And it's so funny. I was just like, they just did this. I'm like, really? Right
Eh,
after we went to anchor.fm/ this Xbox Life, that's where we're hosting now on that platform, which is ran and owned by Spotify. That's where that's from. So that's where we're at. I'm like, oh, now
now they
Zencaster
do it.
turns around and does it. It's like we could have just jumped to them because we weren't particular to any place we were going. We just know didn't really want to host it anymore like the way we were doing it. So, um,
Yeah. It's
but
all
yeah,
about simplifying our lives.
but let me say this before we go:
Because this
we
is
are not
very
affiliated.
important.
Yeah, we are not affiliated with Microsoft or the Xbox in any way. This is a show being done by fans for fans of the Microsoft Xbox. The views and opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect those of Microsoft. So,
And let me add to that. We are not affiliated with Sony or the PlayStation in any way.
yeah,
This is a show being done by fans for fans of the Microsoft Xbox. Our views and opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of Sony.
yeah. Well, you can say, done by fans for fans of the, Sony PlayStation as well, or gaming in general. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the PlayStation. I mean,
Hey, we are gamers in general. You're
yeah.
more of a PC guy. I'm
Yep.
an
PC.
Xbox guy. Rob's a mobile guy. I mean, let's admit it. Rob doesn't play anything but mobile anymore. Like, I don't, I think when he says he's played an Xbox game, that's only because his son made him play something like
Yeah.
Roblox. Like, does that even count?
Yeah, like I said, I heard our listeners' mouth hit the floor in the future when he said that he played an Xbox game last time. So, but yeah, Rob's not with us. He had, obviously we are recording early, so that's one reason why we moved to Sundays is because it is hard on the weekdays with families and events and stuff. So he's unable to. Um, but
but
in
let,
one
let's
minute,
let's be
okay.
honest. Let's be honest. He's here because he's scared,
Oh,
because he knows I'm going to call him out from what he said on our
oh,
last show when we had this kind of discussion about what was going on here. and I think Sony just proved my point.
I will defend him a little bit later. Just
Ah,
I got your back, Rob. Just a little piece of it. I got your back. No. So
No, that's good. It makes for a better conversation and more enjoyable listening. If we all just
yeah,
go, yep, 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 then it's kind of a boring show. So
yeah, yeah. But before we get there, let's do all the other stuff kind of real quick. Tell me what you've been playing and like. Ooh, I heard that one.
okay.
Yep. It surprised me. I forgot you. I forgot they were there. In about 2 minutes or less, what have you been playing?
Gems of War, Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Outriders, Celestial Crown of the Magister, Saints Row. Go.
All right.
No,
I,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, I was
All
going
right,
to say
so
I figured you would give a little more detail, like on Phoenix Rising, Immortals, Phoenix
yes,
Rising. But
yeah.
okay, go
So,
for it.
Saints Row. I did go back one time. I think I'm officially done. That game sucks so bad. They even had a patch come out. I've got so much, like, your character's clothes will change in the middle of a battle. Just all of a sudden, like, what just happened? Like they're in a completely different outfit for no reason. I had a clipping area the other day where like my feet were in the floor. Um, there's so many issues with the combat. It's a bad game. I cannot recommend this at all. Celeste Crown of the Magister. I think I'm done with that. I really like the game, but it's got me now fighting like this vampire, and I cannot, like,
Can't kill her, can you?
I break the windows, I get into the light, it's
Uh huh.
supposed to help, and it doesn't. They just come and wipe me out. I'm like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be a vampire. The room is dark. I bust out these lights. I can't kill you. And it's just like I've already lowered the difficulty level. It's like the only thing now is like to go to baby mode. And I
Well,
really do like the game,
yeah.
but
So you're on the female one, right? The female
yes.
vampire. Yeah. So you're
Yes.
breaking the window. Breaking the windows is important, but also kind of spreading out and making, because what she'll do is she'll throw the I forget what it's called, but she'll do the dark cloud,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Yes.
every time she's in that, when her turn comes around, she heals 10.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all she
Yeah,
does is
right.
heal.
So it is crucial to throw light, like see, we have 4 different people playing, because
Right.
we're playing multiplayer. And we did this battle like 5 or 6 times with the 4 of us. And eventually what I think happened is Drano had a spell where he could cast like this big light, glowing light ball, or like
I've
bulb,
I've
like
done
in the
that
middle.
right in the middle of the room. Does
Yep. So
nothing.
well, in the middle of the room, that helps actually drive her. But what happens is you kind of need to take your characters and keep walking back and forth across the top. So
Okay.
then she keeps moving, and then she gets pulled out of that, is the kind of thing. But yeah, that one's hard. That you by far so far we've played, you know, 30, 40 plus hours in this, and we're getting further and further. That is still by far the hardest fight that we've had so far.
And I'm by myself. And
Yeah.
I still have the 4 characters, but I was even looking up like a review or like a walkthrough, and they're like, "Oh, prep this spell." I'm like, I don't even have that spell prepped, and I'm past, like, I don't have a
Being able
save
to do it.
point. I don't
Yeah.
save like 18 billion times. So my last save was in right at the beginning of this battle.
Okay.
So it's not like I can go and change my spells that are
Yeah.
prepared. And it's just I really like the game, but it's like,
Yeah.
my gosh, it's like, how hard can this be?
Yeah.
Before I totally give up, I'm gonna drop it down to the lowest level because I had it
Yeah.
originally on authentic, I think is what it was. And the way the description was, it was kind of like an authentic D&D, but it doesn't really say, from my recollection of the way they describe it, it's more of like, oh, well, there's for those that just want to adventure and walk around and, and then those that want the authentic D&D adventure. It's not like,
Yeah.
well, you're going to have less health and, they'll do more damage or they'll have, more opportunities to do crits or nothing. None of that is explained. And then it's
Right.
like, well, I don't want to have this like basic just walk around and not have fights. And that the way it was reading was like, okay, I don't want that. So I'm like, no, I want the authentic. And then it was like, the last time I got into an issue, I dropped it down, and then as soon as I dropped it down one level, got right through the guy. Like, okay,
Right.
this is a lot better. And now, like, boom, here we go. I'm like, oh, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll
And
drop it to baby mode and see if I can get past her, and then maybe go back up a level. But it's
yeah,
like,
well, I would recommend doing that because if I remember right, and this is a Lieutenant Commander Shepard question, I believe, and you could look this up, I believe they made this fight harder. Like they patched it to be harder than what it originally was.
oh,
And it might be just a little too hard. But
yeah,
again, there's nothing wrong with dropping because you're having fun. I would recommend you drop it down, just get past her, and then put it right back up to the level that you were just at,
yeah.
and go continue and have fun because there is some cool. I mean, there's some fun stuff.
Game is fun.
And I,
So,
I, I just remember like Ray had to save all his spells and keep us alive, and we had to like heal each other and
oh yeah,
like a lot. I mean, a
yep.
lot. And my name's Sherrod, and they call me Shergod because I just annihilate people. Because I don't have much. I'm just an archer, right?
Yeah,
But when I hit, I hit. So
that's
it's like,
good.
yeah. So it's like I'm doing that and doing certain things. But yeah, it was difficult, and getting her in the light is crucial because it gives her you and her a disadvantage. So then now you're not taking as much, but that's why she casts that darkness over her. So then
Right.
she heals and she's at an advantage. So it's like, yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of stuff in
it's
there. But
it's
yeah,
brutal.
drop it down. Yeah, drop it down, get through that, and bump it back up and continue. But yeah, uh,
Okay.
what
And
else
then
you got, bud?
the other thing I've been playing a lot of this week or past 2 weeks is Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Now, I remember when this game came out, I'm pretty sure it was about the time that Biomutant came out. And I remember looking at both this and Biomutant, and I really thought that this game, Immortals, I was like, "Nah, I'm not really that interested in it. I don't think I would like it." Well, I'm wrong. The game is
Hmm.
awesome. It is so much
Oh yeah,
fun. Now, there's some things that are a little irritating, and it does seem like there's like so much to do. The big open world. Like I was running around doing stuff, and I'm like, am I even on like the main storyline? There was a lot of like, I don't even know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I was having a lot of fun, and the game is really good. I really am enjoying it. It does a lot of puzzles, lots of puzzles, but so far I think I've only had to look up like 2 things, because it's just like you're looking around, and for the most part, there's always seems to be, you can usually find something that's like, "Oh, okay, I need to do something with this," or like there's a switch somewhere, or you need to put a boulder or move a box onto a switch to weigh it down to unlock things, or you've gotta find the one torch that's out and use your arrows and fly it through a flame and guide it to where the one, to light the other one, and there's all these, lots of different puzzling, platformy type of things, which normally I don't like, but this one has been it's not, like, ridiculously complicated. Some are tough, some of the battles are tough, and the battles, for me, it's the way the control scheme is and the way they map the buttons. I really should someday try to remap stuff, but, um, anyways, I'm gone way over my 2 minutes. But
no,
if you haven't played Immortals: Phoenix Rising, this is on Game Pass. Don't miss it. It is a really fun game. I do recommend it. I'm really enjoying it.
cool. Yeah, and that's in Game Pass.
It is. I wish I had not bought Biomutant because I put a lot more time into Immortals: Phoenix Rising than Biomutant. Biomutant was just not very good.
Right.
So,
All right.
sadly. And that sucks because I paid for that one.
Yeah.
That's one thing too. It's like, so Gems of War is a free to play. Immortals, Outriders, Solasta, all Game Pass games. I love all of them. Saints Row, paid full price, hate it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'll go into the store and I'm like, really not a whole lot coming out. And then I go and look at what's coming to Game Pass. Ooh, that's coming. Oh, hey, that's coming. I'm very much a fan and very happy with Game Pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even with like the lack of like first party releases, this
Oh,
year, I think.
it's gonna get crazy next year.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing is like we're again. Well, hopefully, we're hoping it goes crazy next year, right? I mean, let's be honest.
They
Anything
could
can get delayed.
delay stuff just to
I
try
know.
to let's
Spread it
move
out.
some stuff out because there's too much to push.
Yeah,
They could.
yeah, but that's. I mean, Xbox has kind of got hit hard, this year because I mean, there's been a few things, but I can't really nothing that really sticks in my mind, type of thing.
Right. It's
Um, but
been a drought.
but on the other end, like if you really think about like and there's nothing that's been Series X exclusive, X and S exclusive,
Maybe
right?
they should have delayed Halo until this winter.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah,
won't go
but
down. We won't go down that rabbit hole because that'll get me going on a whole probably another half hour of
oh,
tangent of screaming and hollering at freaking
yeah.
Microsoft. So
Yeah, I mean, I
we'll
saw
save that for Sunday maybe
yeah.
or our next show.
Yeah, it's funny. I did see like people, people obviously, it was like, oh, they said there was going to be couch co-op and co-op, co-op got delayed again, right? So it's like now we got to wait till November to play co-op, right?
And
But
couch co-op is now gone.
yeah, couch co-op's
It's
gone,
ripped.
and most people are like, they said they were going to have it, they should have it, and I'm just like, you know what? People have a right to be upset because they did say they were going to have it, right?
The game
But
launched
also,
with missing
yeah,
so many things
but
that has been in this franchise from the get-go.
not all
Okay.
the time though. Not all the time though.
Well, they've
That's
been included before now,
they have been.
and we've been
Yeah, we've
promised
talked about that.
co-op for how long now? Going to be in
Well,
the spring. Now it's the
before it
summer.
launched.
Now it's the
Yep.
fall. Now it's
Now
maybe
it's
next year,
November.
right?
Yep.
It's like, come on. I don't even expect it November at this point.
Or
Every time they come out and talk about
right.
their roadmap, they can't even get their roadmap done. Oh, Forge is supposed to be here. Well, now it's in beta, and oh, well, we're going to give you 2 new maps. Really? In a year? That's what you can
Yep.
get? 2 maps? Like they are
The battlefield tactic. 2 maps.
it's terrible, man. Halo,
But
well, I'm never mind. I'm not going to say anything because
yeah.
I will go, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So
I will say if it does come out in November, you still got to look at the bright side of it because you could have been promised a multiplayer game 3 years ago. It's still not out, but it's coming out, as a separate game that you're going to have to pay for. Think about that one. Cuz that would suck.
Okay, you've lost me there.
Yeah. Oh,
Am I supposed to know what you're referring to?
Last of Us Part 2 was supposed to have their factions included in it, and it got delayed and then not talked about, and now it's coming out, but it's a separate game on its own.
Well, that's because they had to make it a separate game, Brun, because the
To make up
quality
for
is
Call of Duty?
so good. No, the quality is so good
That's right.
that
Yeah,
they
that's
could
good.
not stand to release it as part of the game that they originally said they were going to release it as part
Right.
of. They just exceeded the quality bar, and they're like, whoa, we got to charge for this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
come on.
But,
That's all Sony does is quality.
Yeah. I love it. For what I've been playing, did Destiny 2 campaign, the one I didn't play since they gave it for free. I did go through it. It was really good, actually. It's really pretty good campaign. But I will say, once I was done with the campaign, so many flashy dots and things all over my screen and other grinding things that I had to do. I was like, yeah, I'll just uninstall it. I'm good. Played some more
Future of
Solasta.
PlayStation game.
Yeah. Solasta.
That right there is the future of PlayStation games.
Battlefield 2042. The new map and season 2 has started. Actually, you know what? I played some Halo as well. Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Sorry.
So had some fun. We're just doing the new camp, the new mode that they have. The old one was like Fiesta, which I really liked, but the new one's was actually kind of fun. Fortnite, did some Fortnite with you and Adam.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
all right, we did.
So Yeah, you did play some Fortnite. Uh, it was okay. I know you remember this. It was funny because Adam and I were still like the first round we started playing with. He was just like, "What was the deal yesterday?" He's like, "It was like Mad Max," and I started laughing because we were in one area, minding our
Oh,
own business, and a car rolls in.
yeah.
And so we start shooting at, and that person's teammates there, and another car rolls in with another team, and then another team rolls in, and then another. I think there was 5 teams. We eventually got killed, but
We
I
took
think it was
out,
we
I
took out
think,
3 for sure.
yes, at least 3, working on 4th. And yes,
4.
we were working on the 4th team, and then all of a sudden from behind us, the 5th team rolled
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
And it was
Third
like boom,
party.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
We was like, what happened? I was
yeah. We didn't
it was
we didn't
it
get
was
third
insane.
partied. We got fifth partied. It was fifth party
Yes.
heroes, is what they were. So, but that was the craziest, and because I think I think toward the end we lost. I was like, I still got like 9 kills. It's like, holy cow!
Yeah. Yeah,
But
we were
yeah,
doing, yeah, that was chaos, man. I don't think I've ever seen a Fortnite game with that many that many
it was
squads
crazy.
in one spot. It
Yeah,
was, talk about a perfect storm.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm waiting for. I'll be excited when the new season because right now it is nothing but sweaty people, honestly. But um, yeah. So, and then the last game I played, I just got it yesterday. I've been watching it on Twitch and been watching Soul play it and stuff instead of just playing it. But if you're a racing fan and you like F1, I like the F1 games and everything. This is the F1 Manager 2022. The game is awesome, and it's by Frontier, the developer Frontier, and who makes like they do Elite Dangerous, right? And Frontier Elite Dangerous,
I have no idea.
Frontier developer. Yeah, I think they're Elite Dangerous. If I'm not mistaken. But the game is really good. Yeah, so they do the Jurassic World Evolution 2, Planet Zoo, Planet Zoo, Jurassic World, Planet Coaster, Elite Dangerous, Zoo Tycoon, Connectimals. Like they did
Connect them.
they yeah, like they do those games, but they do the F1 Manager 2022. It is a blast. Um so I'm hoping because I know the F1 games eventually they're EA, so they're eventually going to make it to Game Pass. I'm hoping Game Pass picks this game up because I mean it's $37 on CD keys now. So like and it's only been out a week. And to me it is a full 60 and never even released at $60, but it is a full $60 release worth every penny if you're like into those management type games. It's awesome. Couple things they're working on, but that's it. So that's what I've been playing. Um I mentioned earlier anchor.fm/this Xbox Life. That is where we host our show. You can go there and listen. You can also go to that site and click the send voicemail, and you can send us a voicemails, and you will be into the show, and we'll answer your question. You can also email us directly, though, if you like to just type your question out. It is contact@thisxboxlife.com, and we also take voice messages through that email if you like to record yourself on your phone and send it in. So we put you in the show, answer your questions. We have a Discord. It is discord.thisxboxlife.com. And if you'd like to join where most of us hang out, I think a majority of everybody hangs out is on our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/this Xbox Life, or you just search for this Xbox Life. Closed group, but you just answer a couple questions. Say like, I think they ask like, who's your host, name a host or something. You can put any of us in there and go from there. Also on anchor.fm, you can also support us if you would like. And right now we have currently one supporter, which we appreciate, is Michael.
One supporter.
Yeah, one supporter.
One.
That's all we need. So,
Thank you, Mike. I do appreciate that.
yeah, keeping the lights on.
Yep.
Thanks. So, but we don't have any voicemails, emails, Discord, or anything today. Again, because we're doing early and we just want to get to the discussion. So let it rip.
Righty. All right. So first of all, I'm throwing Rob under the bus because he's not here, so that's why I'm doing it. I'm still saying Rob's not here because when our last show we talked about this whole Sony, what is it, the CMA, and everything going on with them crying about Microsoft's acquisition of this. And again,
The
I got
Brazil stuff, yeah.
emotional.
The stuff in Brazil.
I get that feeling. I'm putting emotion into it. And he's like, he's like, guys, it's just business. It's just, these guys don't care. They're just looking out for doing the best, you know. And I get that. I do. But I think PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan just kind of slapped Rob down this week and basically said, "No, I'm a big whiny cry baby, and I want my way, and I need the governments to give me my way." So, anyways, the PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan came out crying this week about the Microsoft acquisition of Call of Duty. Now, I like to note here that everything that they have talked about is Call of Duty. They're not complaining about any other titles possibly going away. It's like they don't care about this acquisition at all. All they care about is Call of Duty. Now, which I find interesting. It's like one game is all they care about. They don't even care or complain about anything else. But Jim Ryan criticized Phil Spencer, saying that it is inappropriate for Phil to bring a private company discussion into the public light. He said that Phil telling Sony that they would guarantee that COD would be on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement is inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact to PlayStation gamers. So I've got a whole big, I basically wrote out all the stuff I want to talk about, but I'm hoping I've paragraphed this so that Brun and I can take chunks and
Yeah,
kind of, I think
and I
that might
already
be the best.
yeah, and I already got a question for you on this chunk here. When you when
Okay.
you say when you say the current agreement that Sony has for Call of Duty, like I think it's for like the next two Call of Duty games and whatever. It goes to like 2024 is the rumor of the current agreement. Does
Yes.
that does that
2022, 23, and 24.
right?
So by the November of 24, when that Call of Duty on an annual, assuming they come
Yeah,
out every year like they always have, they should get 3 more Call of Duties.
three more games, right? Now, question for that current deal, the current agreement, does that include any like exclusive content or exclusive timing for Call of Duty for PlayStation?
That I don't know. I
Because
haven't followed Call of Duty in quite a
outside of the
while.
beta, stuff, I know they get like beta early and things like that, but we know they have the marketing deal, right? That deal is the
Yeah.
marketing deal. So I'm assuming Sony's getting something out of that existing
I
agreement,
know in the last
right?
generation, Sony got COD, like all the new content, they got it, I wanna say 2 or 4 weeks in it, ahead of time before
Couple, yeah,
Xbox got it. Um, I don't know if that's still going on right now.
right,
Um, I don't know how that has worked out, but,
yeah.
um
Because I looked at this comment, because obviously when this happened, when the announcement came out, like I remember Phil Spencer saying like, "Hey, I had a good phone call with Sony, saying that we want to keep Call of Duty on the PlayStation for in the future or for years to come or however he kind of worded that." And it's like, oh, okay, that's good, because I mean, you look at how much, and I think you're going to cover it later, like how much money they make off that
Yeah,
franchise.
yeah,
Just to say, we're going to eat this so we can make it exclusive. Like that's
yeah.
that's. I mean, me as if I would say just doing business, I would say that's bad business if you're going to do that. I don't know if you agree with me on that. I don't think it'd be smart, but um,
Well,
I just
there's I don't it doesn't matter, I guess, what I think,
right.
whether it be smart or not. Call of Duty, and the reason why Sony is so concerned about it, I mean, this is Blizzard and Activision. Like, we're talking Diablo,
Yep.
Overwatch, Worlds of Warcraft. King, the mobile, like Sony doesn't care about any of that. The only thing they're complaining about is Call of Duty. It's one game. And what I find interesting is like, is Sony that hard up that, and we'll see later how much money
Yeah.
Sony makes from this one game. Okay.
Yeah.
But are you that hard up for money that if it almost feels like they're so desperate that if they lose Call of Duty, like PlayStation's gonna go away. Like they
Well,
won't be able to
so
exist anymore because they are playing that card. Like, woe is us. Evil Microsoft is picking on poor little Sony. Our gamers are being impacted, and we're gonna go into that more too later. But that's what Jim Ryan's doing. And and I just want to respond to him saying that it's inappropriate for Phil to bring out a private company discussion in the public light. Phil was responding to the CMA and Brazil to things that came out in the public. And he was just responding saying, "Hey, we've had some good talks. We've let Sony know that we're going to allow it to continue for years on." And and if Jim's like, "Well, 3 years after, which takes it to 2027, if that's not good enough." Well,
yeah.
first of all, who gives a crap what you want? If Microsoft, at the end of the day, we're just gonna say this goes through, and Call of Duty now belongs to Microsoft. There is nothing that makes Microsoft have to do a freaking thing for PlayStation or their customers. All Microsoft cares about is their own customers, right? Which,
Sure.
in this instance, could become PlayStation customers, which I think is why they're like, hey, we're going to keep it on here. I think they do want to do the Minecraft route. Minecraft was huge. There's still, now it's on Switch, and they've expanded that game onto other platforms. That's a Microsoft owned property, but they're making bank, and they know Call of Duty would be the same thing for them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about necessarily bringing in and taking COD away from PlayStation. This acquisition is about getting King. That's what
Sure.
this is about. This is about Microsoft getting into the mobile space. There's so many billions of people out there. Also on the PC side, getting was it BattleNet from Blizzard, which
Yeah.
is huge. Like there are so many people on that platform. So this acquisition has more to do about, I think, number one is mobile, number two is PC. I don't think the console, other than adding games to Game Pass and boosting their first party content to have that stuff in Game Pass, I think that's the third item on their list here. It's not even their focus. But Sony's
Right.
turning this into like, oh, you're taking Call of Duty, you're going to put it on Game Pass, and you're taking it away from us, and you're going to take it away from. So, I think that's a bunch of crap. And for Phil Spencer to say, look, we will, because this is all contracts. Sony has contracts, and Activision is contractually obligated to provide Sony and the PlayStation with Call of Duty up and through 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of that, they would have to renegotiate contracts of, how much are you going to, Sony, how much are you paying Activision for us to put this game on your platform type of thing? Publishers want money. Just like Sony does, publishers and devs want money too. They don't just hand it to Microsoft and Sony and say, here's a free game. Don't pay us for it.
Yeah.
Just give it to your people and you make money. So Bill's saying, my interpretation of we will extend that an additional 3 years, to me says we will extend this current contract you're in an additional 3 years, not even renegotiate.
Yeah. Well,
That's the way I interpret it. Is like, because you don't just say we're going to give it to you. That's your competition, no matter what. And who says we'll in writing guarantee you that we will do another 3 years. And then after that doesn't mean it's going away. It's just like, okay, at that point, then we'll negotiate contracts again. But we're trying to let you know that we're not pulling it. In fact, we'll give you an additional 3 years without even hammering out contractual obligations. We'll just keep
Yeah,
it as is.
yeah. And the hard part about this, and I'll come back. You hit like 3 things I want to comment on.
All right.
but
Just say, Mark,
but
shut up.
yeah, well, here's the thing: is everything that we're seeing in the news or on Twitter and everything right now about this extra 3 years and stuff like that is and this is where the Phil Spencer is a liar. He's a liar. He said more gamers, the better. We want to make sure we want less exclusive, we want to have less exclusives. We don't see exclusives being a thing. And, there's that big letter that came out after the CMA, who I'll come back to that one. The CMA did their whole show and fiasco, which I really am just blows my mind on that one. But they did that. So like Phil Spencer had to come out and do a press release, basically putting everybody back in their spot. That was all on September 1st when all that press release, and a lot of these people's like, oh, he's a liar. He said we didn't want to take it away and more gamers are the better. And here he is only going to give it 3 more years. Knock on the door here. The 3-year deal thing was back in January 2022 or 2022. That whole thing where I said that they called Sony and stuff. Yeah, really exactly. For real. So the thing is everything we're talking about, it doesn't even matter. It's not even real anymore. Because that was almost, if you think about it, their first attempt to try to appease everybody before it got to regulators. To kind of say, hey, Sony, are you good with this? And then when it goes to regulators, Sony might come in and be like, oh, yeah, we're good. They said they're going to give it to us for 3 more years, right? And just Jim Ryan's actually right. Oh, it was inadequate. We don't want to agree to that. We feel like we should get the law on our side, the regulators on our side, and we should just cry and moan and act like a wounded little horse. Like, I need help. Can you please, please, sir, can I have some more Call of Duty? It's like, their whole thing, which led into the, things in Brazil, and then the CMA doing their dog and pony show for Sony. That's where that all came from, because, they're saying, no, it's inadequate. They're basically saying we're going to fight, except for we're not going to fight. We're going to cry and beg is more of what it is, for help. So the thing is when they're saying Phil's a liar, he said this. No, it's because that deal from January 2022 to now has evolved. Xbox is going to have to sign some sort of, consent decree or whatever that is, right? Basically stating to like the CMA and to the FTC and stuff is, hey, we are going to continue and always indefinitely put Call of Duty on PlayStation day and date. That's the latest. That's the latest thing.
I don't think they can. That's what Jim Ryan wants. Well, he doesn't even want Microsoft to get this, but
right. Well, yeah. So hear me out though on it. Is
okay.
They're going to have to sign something that's maybe the most extreme, right? But they're going to have to do something to make everybody happy, right? Which is the weird thing, because I'm sure you're going to talk about, try competing. Is this competition, or is this protecting and being the knight in shining armor standing in front of Sony, and let's protect the guy on top. You can't compete with the guy on top. That's not fair. Like if it's one of those things, but they're going to have to do something, right? So the thing is where this comes in, the other thing is about Jim Ryan saying this, which kind of got me, is why did he even say this? Like, oh, I feel obligated because he brought it up. And it's kind of like, you just made yourself look weak.
Oh, right? Yeah. Very weak.
Like, people's like, oh, stick up to him. I'm like, stick up to him? That was in January. Like, this is why stick up to what? Something that he said in January?
9 months ago?
9 months ago that has evolved and changed into the part where you're getting Call of Duty. And now it's like, oh, I'm going to come out and let me just kick the bear again one more time. Because my thing is now is like, oh, you think you were going to get something really good now. Oh, you're going to get the bare minimum. If it was me, and this is just me being me, if I was going to offer you something and I was just being nice, I'm like, yeah, well, you know what, we're going to give it to you, and then all of a sudden you try to turn on me and bring up something I said 6-9 months ago that actually isn't true anymore because I've changed my mind and thought better of it. You know what happens if Phil
No,
Spencer was like, you
not
know
that he
what?
changed his mind, that it was rejected.
Well, yeah, because yeah. But it's just like if I came around and told you, Mark, like, hey, I want you to, I'm going to charge you $10 for this, and then like a little bit later, I just publicly came out and said, you know what, you know what, Mark, you can have it. I feel bad. I've changed my mind. I did that, and later on, it's like, yeah, I told Mark, we talked and made a deal. Like he's going to get that, and then you come out and like, well, yeah, but he was going to charge me $10 for it, and now I'm going to be like, oh, well, now it's 20.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, why would you do that? It makes them look weak. It makes them look like, you're right, without Call of Duty. This is the way I see this, and I'm actually a little scared at this point in time. Without Call of Duty, can PlayStation survive? Because
It
the way I
seems like
read
they
this
can't.
stuff, they can't.
It seems like
They
that's
can't.
what they're saying, that they're
That's
going to
what I'm
go
getting
under.
out
And
of
it's
it
like,
too.
and I'm sorry, if you are relying on a third party software if you're that broke, where did you get $6 billion to buy Bungie?
Yeah.
They also just bought, was it 14% of,
We'll get in. I'll have things for that
okay,
later.
okay. I will
Yeah.
hold off then, but they're still purchasing stuff. So they're
Exactly.
not broke.
Well,
So,
they're
okay.
broke. They're broke. They're not purchasing it. Their gamers that they care so much about, as he said, are paying
Are
for it.
footing the bill, yeah.
Are footing the bill for it. It's like taxing. It's like paying taxes. Oh, thanks for the COVID relief $200 check I got or whatever. It's like, well, that's from your taxes. Why you're thanking yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Type of thing. But I just and that's the thing is the way I read all these things and the way this looks, it doesn't look like he's fighting back. He's sticking up for us. No, he's bringing up something that's not actually valid anymore to
Yeah.
try to make look like he's sticking up, when really all it's showing is like, man, they really need Call of Duty. And like I said, the way I'm seeing this and the way you're seeing it, and I'm not saying this because I'm like this is an Xbox show or anything like that. I'm saying that because I'm legitimately like, really? It's like, is it that bad? Because I jokingly, air quotes,
I don't think it
jokingly,
is.
well, I know, but like
A crying
jokingly
wolf.
over the last 6 months or whatever, have been saying jokes that Sony's broke. They need the money. Like, they don't put their games on first party on their Game Pass thing. They were never going to do that in the first place because they needed everybody to buy their games. They raised their games to $70. They charged $10 upgrade fees between their games from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. They tried for a couple more games but got backlash, so they cut that out. They're still charging a $10 upgrade fee. They just remade a game for the third time and charging $70 for it.
With less content.
With less content. They're increased their, they don't have to, they're increasing their console everywhere except for the US.
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, all these things is, and then I'm just like, well, at least we won't see them purchasing anything. Remember me saying that? Like, and it was that night.
You said
They're
that
like, oh yeah.
You said the last episode.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that night, the next day, I was like, well, I guess I was wrong. They went and they purchased a mobile company that has never released a game.
They also
right?
purchased shares of another company that's not mobile.
Which is
From Software.
Oh, From Software.
From Elden Ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what.
Along with Tencent.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the Chinese conglomerate. Part of the Socialist Party. Yeah. Chinese Socialist Party.
So
that's good money right there.
There's a lot of, and I don't want to go down that road, but there's a lot of discussion going on again, the internet and the fanboys and the rumor mills, but there are some things that like Sony's trying to do stuff on the back end with others to be able to have more power and try to, it's just ridiculous. But
Yeah, two things about that. One real quick about Tencent. Did you see that they purchased more stuff into Ubisoft?
yeah,
They own like 49.9% of Ubisoft now. Tencent does.
yeah,
And they are a major, and they're minor stakeholder, but they're a big stakeholder in Epic. So,
yeah.
and the thing is they also did the From Software. But the thing about the From Software, which cracks me up, is Twitter was hilarious that time. You know what? Every single person on the PlayStation Pony people were saying about their great Elden Ring, the next Elden Ring and stuff can now be exclusive
Oh,
to Sony
yeah,
because we own that IP. It's like, hey,
yeah,
knock on their head again. You don't
uh,
own it, dummy.
you,
It's not
Sony
yours.
bought. Sony has 14% stake in From Software. You don't own that IP.
Yeah, you don't own that IP. And the other ones that were really funny was the what was it? The people saying, "Hey, it looks like Sony's going to be battling Sony for this year's game of the year." Because
Yeah,
it was like The Last of Us Part 1, God of War, which is valid. You know, it's probably going to be a valid game of the year. Elden
or
Ring,
Elden Ring.
and then there was the fourth one, which was also a Sony property or something. I can't remember what it was. It was like you don't own Elden Ring,
But
and
they're
I'm
little.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. And The
They're
Last
little
of
old
Us,
Sony. Or
yeah,
Microsoft's gonna kick them out of first place.
yeah. Yeah, The Last of Us Part 1 is a 13-year-old game. It does not go up for game of the year. That's a joke if it does. But
Well,
that is the one
you
PlayStation
know who
5
runs
exclusive.
those. You know who runs those awards.
Jeff Keighley.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So Tom Warren, who is a big person that you see all the time, and Jeff Keighley and Destin Legary all commented on that.
Hold.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it's so let's you've
Okay.
jumped
Sorry.
way into my list.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
stop
Go ahead.
you now.
Okay.
So
Go for it.
so where do we start?
That's crazy.
The hypocrisy is so thick, and I can't believe that Jim Ryan is publicly crying like a little baby. First of all, like I said, and we said this already, Phil Spencer was replying to the complaints that Sony made to the regulators in Brazil and the CMA in England. Sony brought this out to the public, and Microsoft is responding in kind. So, Jim, you're full of crap. You're not. You guys are the ones behind all this. You guys have put it in the public. You're trying to you're trying to build public support and turn this into something that this just doesn't happen. This is not normal. And you're wanting governments to block what you consider to be a threat to your market position. Um, Sony is trying to flip the script here because once again, they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Now, Sony gained exclusive rights to COD in the PS4 generation. If we remember, on the 360, Microsoft was getting the DLC like 2 weeks early. They had
Yeah.
all the marketing for COD. PS4, Xbox One generation that went over to Sony. Um, Now, Sony has had exclusive content on numerous titles and have even blocked content and games from the Xbox platform. Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Destiny, Call of Duty, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop. Both of the last two are a Microsoft owned property that is not even on Microsoft platforms, mind you. Yet, Spider Man and many more. Sony has even was exposed as making deals with third party devs to keep games from coming to Game Pass. Sony has been bragging about all the exclusives they've had for generations, and now that they may lose COD, they are losing their minds over it. Sony does not care about their customers. They care about the possible loss in revenue from COD. If Sony cared about their customers, they would not be raising game prices to $70. They would not be raising console prices by $50. And yes, even in the US, they claim they're not, but in the US, the only consoles available right now are $50 more expensive because they're bundling in a game. So you can't get the base machine at the regular price. You have to buy a reduced price of like $20. So you're buying a game for $50 instead of 70, but you're paying $50 more for the console in the US. So they're even lying about that. And there's talks about them, and again, I think we mentioned last week that they might be raising their game prices even more. But there's also talks about that they're going to be raising the price on their newly created Game Pass wannabe service. And it was just like, and for a company that supposedly is hurting, you put a lot of money out. Maybe you should stop spending all your money and all your customers' money into paying for all these exclusives and blocking your competitors, and put that money into your platform. Oh, any thoughts there, Ron?
Yeah, so the Sony CMA stuff that you mentioned is, in response to the CMA. That was the one thing I was going to talk about. Like, I've never really seen, and I think it was Hogue and Hogue Law that I was listening to. He's like, I've never really seen a uh government type entity or an entity like the FTC or the CMA like come out and say on Twitter, like
Yeah,
do a whole Twitter thread, right? Like, oh, we're looking into this, like it's very bad, like it's going to degrade, like we're worried that if Microsoft purchased Blizzard, like they would degrade and take the game away from Sony, blah 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 blah. And it was funny because even Hogue said this sounds like the exact same responses that we saw in Brazil, which were public, but it's them kind of reading those responses from, I don't know, Sony's lawyers and putting it into a thing, and they're grandstanding. Like, like,
they're not
the
supposed to
FTC
take sides.
did the
That-
well, the
But
I
they
know.
are. That's the thing.
Right,
Or at least if they're not taking sides, what you're saying is it gives the perception that the CMA is defending Sony, and
yeah.
that is not their job.
Oh,
And they
so they're
should not
defending
be
their
doing that.
customers. They're defending the gamers in the UK, their gamers and stuff. But again, that's where the CMA and the Tom Ryan and those guys, they said, "Hey, this kind of reads like it was written by Sony PR." And those guys
Yeah.
saying that, who usually get all the praise by everybody, definitely like Sony people and stuff, they had those the hateful Sony people, the pony people that we always argue
Mhm.
about or talk about. They were all over them, and I was like, these guys aren't even immune from these people.
Yeah.
They went after them just by making a comment, and I'm just like, see, guys, this is what
Facts.
we've been saying.
By
This is
stating facts,
yeah, this
then
is what we've been
the
saying.
ponies started crying even more. Yeah.
Yeah, they're illogical. I mean, there's no logic in their thinking.
There's not.
Yeah,
And
so, but yeah,
here's an interesting take. I heard, I believe it was Hogue. I've heard a lot. I've listened to a lot of stuff the last 2 days over this.
yeah,
Just wanting to hear a lot of different opinions, and I believe it was Hogue. He had one out today, but the CMA cannot block this purchase because
nope,
Microsoft and Activision are US companies. So it
yep.
doesn't matter what the CMA says. They cannot block this. Only the FTC and there's another entity here in the States. Crap.
Not the deal.
I can't remember. There's only 2 entities here in the States that can block it. The CMA can't. Now the CMA could say, well, we're not going to allow you to sell your products here.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
Okay.
Can you imagine? Oh, sure.
Okay.
Can you imagine that?
Fine. I mean, Microsoft has put up with so much crap from Europe. Do you know that in England, in Europe, that's the only place where when you install Windows, it still says, which browser would you like to use?
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah, I remember
freaking
that.
some crap that Europe sued Microsoft for, and they're like, okay.
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's so
Yes.
ridiculous. It's like these guys are so far removed, and they don't have any power. They're not going to block this, so it really doesn't matter what the CMA says. They don't have the power to do anything. But
Yeah.
putting it into the public light, which is unprecedented, does now start to create that news cycle, and and that's where Sony and the CMA are trying to influence the agencies that can do something about it
Right.
by putting out this false narrative.
Yeah. Because the crazy part, and it was Hogue that was talking about that. He said, they can't really block it, like you said, but they can say, hey, we're not going to let you sell your products here. And what
Right.
that product would be, I would assume. I mean, I guess they could say all Xbox products, or they could just say this product,
Microsoft.
right? It could be just
Yeah.
these products, right? But can you imagine? And who gets blamed for that? If, let's say, they block Call of Duty from being sold in all of Europe or wherever the CMA has, jurisdiction to or whatever.
Well, I
Can
believe
you
it's just
imagine?
England.
Yeah, well, okay, just England. Uh, if you can't sell the product, that means you can't sell it on the PlayStation platform either.
Right.
So nobody gets the game, and all those
Nobody.
PlayStation players, Xbox players, PC players
All go without.
all go without it. And who are they going to blame? Microsoft or the
Well,
company that was
England,
complaining and whining about it?
the gamers in England would just order it from another country
Right. So I mean
and
I
import
listen
it.
to them
It's
like, oh my gosh, because really what would happen is then because they would say, okay, well, sue us, right? Microsoft would be like, all
yeah.
right, sue us not to do this then. And it's like, I'm sorry if Microsoft's paying 68 billion dollars for this, and they have a $3 billion thing on the line if it falls through that they have to pay to Activision Blizzard. However, whatever it is, 3 million each
Yeah.
way, I think, based on whose fault it is. If that is the case,
You were right.
how
Three
much?
billion. It's
Yeah,
3 billion each way. Yeah.
yeah. How much do you think they're going to pay for lawyers to put you in your place? Definitely when you're not going to have any facts, because if you read or listened to Hogue when he's talking about that CMA stuff, they have no idea about gaming,
Right.
no clue whatsoever.
Right.
Because they were talking about, like, what was it? Nintendo separates themselves and does their own thing. They've done recent things like the Wii Fit board. And I'm like, that's 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, "Geez, they've done 2 other things from that, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because even Nintendo, if you look at them, how many Call of Duty games does Nintendo have?
None.
Okay, well, they're
Yet.
doing just fine, aren't they?
Ooh. So let me. I will. We'll save that for the fun fact
Okay,
section
okay,
because I got some fun facts.
okay.
But that is a great point.
Yeah, but the
Nintendo
CMA
does
doing
not
their
have Call of Duty, yet
yeah that
they are
CMA
surviving.
yeah that CMA public display of affection for the thing, like I said, it and those guys saying like this reads like it was done by Sony PR, and then Hogue even comes out and says this sounds exactly like the same arguments, and he actually read almost word for word from what was said in Brazil by the Sony people to what the CMA was putting in their thing and put it out publicly. He's like, this sounds like the same thing. Like they literally just took it from that and spit it out. So that thing right there, and that's when Phil Spencer had to put out that comment like, listen, everything you're complaining about, not even a thing anymore,
Right.
because they're going to get Call of Duty, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, right? So the deal's still going to get done, folks. I hate to say it, but okay, next thing that you got here.
No, I agree. I still think it's going to get done. So Sony says Microsoft does not care about PlayStation gamers. Why should they? I mean, honestly, why should Microsoft? So I guess I should say Jim Ryan says Microsoft does not care about PlayStation gamers. Why should they? Why should Phil care about PlayStation gamers? Why should Microsoft care about them?
I
They're not their
mean,
customer. And PlayStation has crapped on Xbox gamers for years and called it competition. So why when Microsoft does the same thing is it no longer competition? Sony says there's no way to compete with COD. That is false. EA has said that Apex Legends is competing with COD. Ubisoft has said Rainbow Six Siege is competing with COD. And nobody else has had any issues with the Microsoft acquisition. Nothing touched Mario until Sonic came along. Nothing could compete with PUBG until Fortnite came along. COD actually had to come up with Warzone to compete with others. Jim is just lying to anyone that will listen to him. There is so much hypocrisy within Sony and with Jim Ryan that it's just pathetic.
yeah. So I mean that is true. Like Microsoft cares about their customers first, and I hate to say it, is every PlayStation person or customer, you said it early, is going to be a Microsoft customer. I hate to say it, but Microsoft's going to care about you more than PlayStation does. They don't have to,
Yep.
but they're going to because they want to.
They will
Right?
when we get the
Yeah.
fun facts.
Right.
Microsoft, I can't see Microsoft pulling this at all from PlayStation.
No, me either.
I really can't. And we'll we'll give the facts out a little bit later.
Yeah.
On why.
The other funny part, and this is actually up in the first thing, is when Jim Ryan was saying, like, how do he say it? Like, something about we care about our players or something like that, like the PlayStation players and
read
taking.
the next section. I think that's what you're looking for. I just highlighted it.
So Jim Ryan said we want to guarantee PlayStation gamers to continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. That's not true at all.
Exactly.
Because I hate to say
is that the quote you were looking for, though?
Well, it's something like that because the thing is like we want to guarantee PlayStation gamers can continue to get it. Well, they can, and I'm going to take a quote from a Sony pony on Twitter. Just go buy an Xbox, dickhead. Sorry for my language. but the thing is like how many times have we heard just go buy a PlayStation? Just go buy a PlayStation. Just go buy a PlayStation, right? So it's like, well, PlayStation players are guaranteed to be able to play Call of Duty no matter where it is.
Guess what? It's going to be on PC as well.
Yeah, just go play it. It won't be on your box, but just go buy an Xbox.
It'll be on that other piece of plastic that's sitting next to you.
Which is the reason why Jim Ryan and Sony are crying, because they know if that would ever happen, and we're saying it's not, like, that is not going to happen. Like, it's not going to be off the Sony platform. That's my opinion, right? But the thing is if that happened, that's the part where Sony, even though they've been told 1,000 times, and this is another thing, if you talk to my son, Jameson, and you asked him, hey, Jameson, how many times does your dad have to tell you something before you do it? Or tell you no, or whatever? How many times does he have to tell you? He's going to tell you he only has to tell me one time. Right? That's the way it is in my house. You ask for something, we say no, that is the answer. You don't ask again, you don't beg, it's one time. And he knows that because he tested me a couple weeks ago. I said, Jameson, how many times do I have to tell you no? And he says, one time. I said, you remember that. And the thing is I feel like this is aggravating thing as a parent or somebody like that is like, I don't know how many times the media has to be told. These, the FTC and CMA, like how many times they have to be told, how many times the Sony people have to be told. I just don't understand how many times they have to be told that they are not taking Call of Duty off the PlayStation platform. Like, I don't understand how many times they have to be told. It drives me insane. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's just interesting too. Like Jim Bryan said that Microsoft's proposal, undermines the principle of PlayStation gamers having the highest quality Call of Duty experience. He said that all he said was it undermines this principle. How? How does it undermine it? Jim never made, and all he said was a statement, which is a fallacy, because Bill said that it would be day and date, parity, both all versions would be the same. So, and Ryan's basically saying, well, because because it's coming from Microsoft, it's not going to have the same quality as does. It's the same people making the game.
Yeah,
it's still Activision. It's still the same developers that are making the game. Dummy. You know what? I got one thing to say to you, Ryan.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Yeah.
Also, they never gave any facts or details to back up that statement. They're just making a statement, which is, the world will end today. Oh, I guess that makes it true because I said it. I have nothing to back it up, but I said it, so it must be true. That's what Jim Ryan is doing here.
It's that kind of thing reminds me of like if somebody said, "Oh yeah, Mr. Ryan, like how's that so?" And he would do like the like coughing into your hand as you kind of like mumble something, or like what's what was that?
Gotta
Like,
go.
I'm full
gotta
of crap. Yeah, I'm full of, oh, look at the time.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
You know-
true, though. I don't that statement doesn't even make sense to me because I'm like I'm trying to figure out is he saying because Microsoft's going to own it, the quality of Call of Duty is going to go down just on PlayStation? And what principle is he talking about? Is he again referring to we only have quality games on our platform? Because
I guess.
I can go out to other Metacritic and stuff, and I can find 1,000 games that are on these $1.25
I think
games that are on the PSN network that are
Saints
trash.
Row is available on PlayStation.
Oh, the quality. Well, it must be quality.
They must have
Wing.
a better version. I guess I should have got
Yeah,
the PlayStation
you're wrong.
5 version of Saints Row.
Yeah,
Because it
you're
must
wrong.
be amazing.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Um,
Yeah, that's what I'd say. Sorry, Wang, you're wrong. It's quality. It's on PlayStation.
All right. Well, we're out of here. I guess I've been proven wrong. Brun said so.
All right. Continue.
Doesn't have any facts, but he said so, so it's true. Now Jeff Keighley even sounded off on this, and I'm not a fan of Jeff Keighley for numerous reasons, but I do feel as if he is kind of more of a Sony backer, Sony fan, Sony whatever. I always feel like he kind of stiffs Microsoft, and this is my personal opinion. Okay, so this is not fact. It's just my personal opinion. I don't hate the guy and nothing, I'm just not a huge fan. So when I saw an article that he sounded off, I was like, oh gosh, here we go, And I will say I was surprised. Because he said, quote, Xbox is certainly entitled to take COD exclusive if it's desired down the road, assuming the deal closes. So even Jeff Keighley, who I would not consider the most Microsoft supportive gaming person out there, stated a fact that if they get the deal, it's their game. They have the right to do what they want. Sony has no say in it. Just like Sony has taken many games away from Xbox and PC gamers over the years. Again, here's some facts. Sony ponies don't like this, but Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Destiny, Call of Duty, Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, Spider-Man, and many more. I listed those earlier. But unlike Sony, we're going to back our statements here on TXL with facts. So again, at least somebody is like, again, it's not a huge Xbox guy is saying they have the right to do what they want if they own the property.
Yeah.
It's like, somebody has their head out their rear, and he probably got nailed for that too.
Oh, he did. That's what I mean. It's like the backlash for between him and Tom Warren and Jeff Keighley. Like I don't think he's like a one person or another. I think he is a gamer. You know what I mean? I do think like he will say, if you want to line his pocket, I don't think he's going to tell you no.
Well, I guess
because
we could be the same, Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like if you go and look at his show, you'll see like I think it was like the last award show, not last year. Yeah, like last game of the year, last December. There was like the ads and stuff you would see during that show were all from Tencent, and then this year they were from a different company. There was a lot of ads from this different company, but that different company is owned by Tencent. So he himself or his company, wherever he has to get, I mean, it's funding's funding, right? I think it's the way he sees it. But really, you got to think, it's like, is it worth that funding to get it from them, to kind of do that? But, again, I think he's just stating a fact, right? He's just stating his opinion, I should say, and whatever. And immediately he was jumped on. Yeah. And it was like, holy cow. And there was actually a second quote to him after that. Like he had two quotes because I think the other one after that was more of like, even though they're probably going to have to sign something to say they're going to put it on PlayStation, and I think they should. And, they kind of said that they're going to do that. It's like, again, just reiterating the same thing because these people have to be spoon-fed this information because every time Sony opens her mouth or Jim Ryan opens her mouth, it's doomsday to these people. Like, it's crazy. But
yeah. All right. So last thing I had before the fun facts is just a question. When did it become the job of a regulator to ensure a monopoly stayed a monopoly and to hinder smaller companies from expanding? Microsoft is not a monopoly. They are not the market leader in gaming. They are currently in third behind Sony and Nintendo. And they are just doing what they can to compete in the market. And remember, we've talked about Tencent quite a bit, but there's also it's another company gobbling up everything in sight right now.
The something group.
Yeah, it's a something group.
I would think of it. I'll continue. I'll look it
Okay,
up.
but I think the eyes need to be pointed at the current leaders, Sony, maybe Tencent, and this other group that is gobbling up tons of
Embracer
IP.
Group.
Embracer Group, yes, thank you. Microsoft's just trying to compete in this market. Sony's been doing this for years, and now that Microsoft is finally stepping up to compete, Sony is crying out to the regulators to stop Microsoft from competing with Sony. At the end of the day, that is all this is. Sony sees themselves losing market share, and they're trying to get governments to step in to stop it. That is not how you conduct a business, and that is not the job of a regulator.
And this is where I'm defending Rob. It's just them doing business. So technically, he's still right. It's like, but their approach to this is the crying whiny way.
But they're not
like.
I disagree with that, because if what business is okay,
competing,
we've got competition.
I know.
Yeah, compete, do something. Don't go and try to get a government entity to shut down a private company. Now,
this is
that
Sony's
stuff,
business way.
maybe they do that in Japan. Maybe that's normal for Japan.
It's
and
not.
We know it is for China. China will shut you down in a heartbeat. But that's not how things, and they certainly shouldn't be how they do it here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So
yeah, again, the government, like the CMA. I keep getting that name wrong. Silly me. Again, like their whole thing, like just read like they were sitting in a Sony boardroom. Like I feel like it's almost like they had to pass that to Sony PR before it got tweeted. It just read really bad. And again, who does that? Like whose first thing is like, we're going to act like we're being the good guys and defending everybody and defending Sony from bad old Microsoft, not Microsoft, Xbox, right?
Right.
But it's like, to save these guys and protect our, loyal subjects, like however it is. It's like,
our minions who follow blindly.
Yeah, because their whole thing was like, if Call of Duty went away from the PlayStation, again, like they've had to be told a billion times, which sparked Phil Spencer's thing on the first, is like, oh, they just won't survive. Like they're going to be, they're going to lose market share. And it's like, yeah, they are, because it's competition, folks. That's what happens when somebody competes. You lose market share. Not when somebody's going to compete. Like you just said, how do I get the government to stop them so I don't lose market share? How do I not lose market share and not have to compete? Oh, I send it to court and have regulators do it for me. That's exactly kind of what you said there. Is when is it the regulator's job to protect somebody from having to compete? When it's their job to make sure things are done so people can compete.
Right.
Compete. Right. So
this takes us really right into our first fun fact. Yep. And so Sony was Activision Blizzard's largest customer in 2020. They accounted for 17% of sales at about $1.37 billion. Okay. Sony was the largest Activision Blizzard customer.
I don't
take a guess where Microsoft was. They must have been number 2, right?
I don't know, because I don't even believe Sony would be number 1.
Or, well, they were for Activision Blizzard. They were the largest customer in that year. But
17%
Microsoft
your
wasn't.
largest customer? Okay.
Yes.
Continue. I'm just wondering
So-
where PC came in. Where did PC rank?
Microsoft was Activision Blizzard's fourth largest customer in 2020. They accounted for 11% of its sales at around $890 million. Apple and Google held the second and third place spots.
Okay.
So, like I said, King, mobile, Apple and Google, right there are right. They were number 2 and number 3. So this is like, again, Sony's number 1 there. Okay. They are the king. They are the monopoly. They are the boss. They're the top dog. Stop acting like the guy in 4th place is going to hurt you. Also, this fact alone
Wait.
shows that.
Okay.
What?
Before you go to the second fact, I want to say something.
No, I'm not going to this. I'm still saying on this fact.
Okay, go ahead.
On the same fact, with Sony contributing $1.37 billion in 1 year to Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, why would they say we don't need that? Why would they just discount and get rid of $1.3 billion?
Oh yeah, exactly.
By saying we're going to take COD exclusive or everything exclusive. I think they're going to do what they did with Bethesda. The stuff that's already on multi-console is going to stay multi-platform. The new stuff that has not come out yet, like Starfield and Redfall, and anything else going forward from that Bethesda merger is going to be exclusive. I expect the same here with Activision Blizzard.
And the thing is Sony won't care about those things, right? Well, we won't hear anything because, again, like you said 100 times, all we're hearing about Call of Duty. Because, like, even one guy's like, if Sony, or they said if Microsoft took Call of Duty off PlayStation, it would take them 55 years to pay back that merger. And the only thing he took was the Call of Duty sales, I think, from this number. I think it was on a tweet like this. He's like, it would take them 55 years to pay that back if they took it away from Sony. And I'm like, do you think Activision Blizzard is only Call of Duty? Because I was like, no, they're probably going to make that. I don't know what the ROI is on this, but I'm sure it's at least 10 years, right? I would think it'd be at least 10 years, because they're going to be spending money to make
it's going to take a while, and it's going to cost them money but they're going to make they're bringing in a lot of people to the Microsoft platform off Battle.net is what I keep hearing. That's a huge thing. I think it's like 140 million players in Battle.net. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's the number I heard, but and same with mobile. That mobile and PC is the main point here. Microsoft is spending $70 billion. Why would they say we're going to turn down almost $1.5 billion from the biggest customer of Activision Blizzard every year? That doesn't make any sense. Sweet, we're going to get that. We're going to keep Call of Duty going, and we know we're going to get probably $1.5 billion from Sony every year. Right.
Yeah. I think I've answered my own question before I even asked you.
But ask me anyway.
Well, yeah, I'm going to ask you anyway, and then I'll tell you my reasoning and thought behind this. Okay. Microsoft's fourth, and I was like, Sony's number 1. I don't believe this because I'm like, where's PC? Because I hate to say it, PC has a larger audience than Sony and Microsoft combined, right? But I was like, well, where's PC? And then I'm like, well, okay, Sony's number 1, Apple and Google are 2 and 3, Microsoft's 4. Here's my thought behind this, why it's like this. Okay, if Sony is spending that much money, Sony players are spending that much money in 1 year on one game, let's say, Call of Duty, because that's what they're worried about, it's because they have nothing else to play. Because on Apple and Google being second and third, that's probably the only good thing to play, right? And Microsoft's 4 because, well, they got Game Pass. There's plenty of other things to play. And PC is not on the list because there's so much stuff to play. That's why I think Sony's number 1. They don't have any games. It's like, heard that before. But the thing is they don't have anything other than Call of Duty. Yes, there's God of War coming out, but I'll say this again because I'm actually wanting to play it as well. After 20 to 25 hours, the game gets shut off and never touched again. So where do I got to go after that? Well, I got to go back to the game that I was playing before these 20 hours, and that was Call of Duty. So maybe, looking at this stuff, Mark, when we were saying earlier, is I really think like Sony really needs Call of Duty to survive. I don't think it's a joke. I really think it's true.
And they're still going to get it.
And I hope they do. And that's the thing is when I said like this really kind of, if you think about it that way, that's scary. That your entire corporation and everything relies on one title from one company, and this whole time
it's not even yours.
Yeah, and it's not yours, right? And you have everybody just talking about all these things that are yours, and you're spending money to try to keep things away from other people. And the reason why you're doing that is to try to keep your stuff going up because your games, which are great that you release, are 20 hours and done. And then you got to wait 5 more years to play it again. And by the way, these exclusives that Sony owns are the same IP, just number 2, number 3, number 4, number 1 remastered, number 1 remake, number 2 remake. Like you're just remaking the same thing. They are running out of stuff. There's no new IP. They don't stray from any other genre except for third-person action adventure. Every game looks like the same cookie-cutter game with a different coat of paint, a different story, right? They're all good. I'm not denying that. They are good. But this is why they rely so much on Call of Duty, because they don't have anything else. That's their moneymaker.
So,
I mean, that's crazy.
Now let me ask you this, Brun.
Yes.
Is Sony really concerned? Is it losing Call of Duty off their platform? What? So they've been told they can have it for at least another 6 years. So let me paint the picture of the way I'm looking at this.
Right.
They've been told it's going to stay like Minecraft. We're going to treat it like Minecraft. It's going to stay on your platform, just like Minecraft still is on your platform. It gets same day and date updates and all that. You're going to continue to get Call of Duty. We're not pulling it. So why are they so worried about it?
I don't know.
I do know.
Oh, okay. Why?
Game Pass. Because it's gonna be, quote,
Oh,
free to Xbox customers. Sony customers will continue to have to pay $70 for it. They
hold on.
will be the only customers paying $70 for COD. Everyone else gets it as part of their subscription.
Okay, just real quick, this is one thing that I was going to say too. You said it twice, paying $70. Who says they're going to be paying $70 on PlayStation?
They might be paying 80 or 90 now.
I will tell you one thing. You know what I said, like the whole thing is like you kick the bear again and you want to keep making a fuss about things. Okay. Well, only thing I've seen, it'll come day and date, same game on your platform. Nobody ever says anything, oh yeah, by the way, for the same price. Right. Because it may be $60 or $70 on PC, $60 or $70 on Xbox, included with Game Pass. It might be $99 on PlayStation. Because I'll tell you what.
Even if the price, let's just say, even if the price went to $60, even if Microsoft said, no, it's our game, it's a $60 period.
Yeah.
Like if they could get right, Sony doesn't, it doesn't matter because Sony sees it as they are going to lose customers.
Yeah.
To Xbox because it'll be in Game Pass. That is the crux of this for Sony. Is not so much Call of Duty, which it is, but it's the fact that Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass. That's where they can't compete. That's where they see they're going to lose market share. And I'm sorry, that's not the government's problem to fix. That's your problem to resolve, to learn how and figure out how to compete against that, because that's the nature of business.
Well, and it's funny that you're saying this because this goes back to our last show or the show before that. Remember, we said Microsoft got their butt kicked with Xbox One. And what they do, they pivoted and they made Game Pass. They changed the name of the game. And Sony was like, well, we're just going to keep playing our game. Right. And I see exactly what you're saying. I agree with you because they're saying, oh, we kept playing our game. We did not adapt. We're not competing now. This is why we're scared. Right. So anything, and that's where the CMA was coming. It's like, oh, this may sway decisions on what console they're going to purchase. And even in the future console, when people are buying new consoles, the next generation, they can make a decision not to buy Sony and buy Xbox because of this deal. And it's like, yeah. And people chose Sony because they buy exclusives from third parties and hold them only on their console. So, we don't want Microsoft to be able to sway people from purchasing a different console or decide to buy their console by doing the same thing we've been doing for the last 2 generations. So I agree with you. I know exactly. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's not the part of losing Call of Duty. It's a part of
They want to stay in the past. They still want to be able to control their customers by making them buy physical discs and handing it to a friend to share. They made that thing, and that was such a big thing. Like, oh, this is how we share. Like they were making fun of us, but it was like, yeah, but you have to go and hand that disc to your friend, and then you can't play with your friend. On Xbox, you can play with your friend. Like their business mindset is so last century, and they just don't know how to compete. So now they're basically, whining and crying and trying to have the government save them because they can't save themselves. I really think Jim Ryan should be fired. I think a lot of the Sony leadership needs to be fired over this. They're making themselves look bad.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys can't run your company, and like you said, if you are financially dependent upon a third-party game to keep you in business, you guys are doing a horrible job.
Yeah.
And they need a reset of leadership.
But it's Microsoft.
But so fun fact number 2. Now, I'm going back to last generation because those consoles are done being sold. And I'll get to the current console. But for last one, the PS4, their last reported selling numbers was 117.2 million units.
Jeez, a lot.
That's a lot of PS4s, man.
It is. Yep. Congrats.
And then Microsoft, not long ago, recently admitted to selling a whole lot less than that. And experts put the number at about 58.5 million Xbox One units.
Yep.
Who is the monopoly? Who's the monopoly here? Because and it's not me saying, oh, Sony's a monopoly, okay? It's because everyone keeps saying Microsoft's a monopoly, or they're trying to have a monopoly, or this and that, when they are number 4th, number 3, number 6 in line. They get outsold like crazy on the last generation of consoles. It doesn't matter the politics. It doesn't matter what the suit that shall not be named here. We as Xbox gamers, we know what happened last term. Okay. And Microsoft are eating it, right? They have to pay the price. So what are they doing? That made them compete. Okay, what are we going to do? We got to turn this around. And that's what they did. They didn't go crying to the FTC or whoever trying to say, oh, you got to slow Sony down and not let them sell consoles in the US. They're hurting us, because that's essentially what Jim Ryan is saying. That would be the same thing. Like, no, put your big boy pants on and do your job. Now, third fun fact, current market share of the consoles. Now, I'm going to read the top 3. I want you to notice who's in last place. First place at 48.6%, Nintendo Switch. Boom, almost half the market. Second place at 27.2%, a PS5 from Sony. And third place at 24.2%, Microsoft Xbox Series X and S. And
that's close.
It is close. And the last couple of months, I was looking at some other charts where Microsoft is gaining. Now, you could probably say we could blame shipping, right? We can blame chips. We can blame the state of the world. The fact that matter is that I could go into my Walmart right now and I'll guarantee there's Series S's on the shelf, because there are every single time I go in there. I've seen once a Series X. And that was only because they were on the way to pull it out of the shelf. Because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was going to get it for Franco.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him.
Yeah.
And
I see a Series S. I thought I saw an X, but it was the refrigerator.
put the refrigerator in the console space. There you go.
Yeah.
I want the Series X. Man, this thing's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, Microsoft is currently in third place. Sony, maybe you need to maybe you should start calling the regulators and say, oh, you need to get Nintendo to stop selling Switches because they have twice as many as us and it's not fair.
Well, based on what they're doing, they would be complaining about Microsoft paying money for priority. Because remember, Microsoft is paying for priority for chips. Because I would have to say, like, maybe they care about their gamers, and they're putting their money where their mouth is and spending money to get their to get gamers out there and not charging more for their console. Just saying.
Hey Rob, come here for a second. Did you hear what Brun just said?
Oh yeah, that's what we call doing business, Brun.
Doing business. That's right.
Thanks, Rob. See you later.
Thank you, Rob. See, defending them again. Just doing business.
See? Yep, just doing business. That's how you do business.
Yeah.
Chip priority is not saying, you're getting your chips out. And we don't even know what that means because these things, my understanding is these chips are all made in different factories.
Yeah, it could be.
So I don't know what chip priority means, honestly. Does that mean you're going to give our chip, because if the chips were identical, then, and it was like one factory came out, there's one factory that makes chips for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and they all came out, and Microsoft said, okay, we get 2 for every one of theirs. To me, that would be chip priority. And I don't believe that's exactly what's happening here. Because their chips are not identical, and we know that Sony's having a problem with their production, and I know I talked about last time, it's the frequency. They're failing the frequency. When they're going through the tests. And so maybe maybe Microsoft has mitigated that by saying, well, we got the Series S. So if it doesn't meet the specs, well, that wafer goes into the S then because it's not powerful enough, or it doesn't meet the specs needed for the quote as Brun's favorite word, premium product.
And that's probably true.
That's smart business.
Honestly, that is smart.
That's
basically
smart business.
They're getting
again.
Yeah, they're getting they're using all of their chips and not throwing away the ones they can't use because it doesn't hit that right benchmark. And
exactly.
And the one thing is again, what I was just saying is like they do that because I feel like they care about their customers and they care about their gamers and they want to get boxes in their hands and stuff like that. So they're paying money. They're losing money to make money, right? Or to get people in there. Which makes me feel like Microsoft says, we care about gamers. We care about our customers. And I believe that. And, with all the people saying Phil Spencer is a liar because they're forgetting, they're saying he's lying because they think January comes after September 1st, which is not true, folks. January's before. I almost have to sit here and look and see again what Jim Ryan was saying. I have to actually call him a liar because do you think all this argument, all these things that they've been talking to these regulators and stuff is because they have their customer in mind? Or are they more worried about their rear end?
Their rear end.
And so he is a liar because every time he says, we care about our customer. No, you don't. You care about your bottom line. You don't care about your customer. Because if you cared, your customer's not impacted.
I'm going to invoke Rob again.
I know
that's
their
business.
customer. That is okay. Again, yes, right. He's using that speech and the wordsmithing, right? Because even Phil Spencer back then did some wordsmithing, which is a little aggravating to me. I wish they would just come out and say what they want to say, and not try to wordsmith it.
Well, you really can't until it's done.
I know. True.
So Microsoft still can't even to this day really say what's going to happen with Call of Duty because they don't own it.
That's true. Yep.
They don't have any say. People. Someone asked Phil Spencer. I think it was on that Bloomberg interview. What's up with Bobby Kotick?
Oh
What's
yeah,
going
he
to
can't
happen to
say
him? And he's
anything.
like, we don't. He doesn't work for us.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I did hear that, and that's kind of like I wish he would do like I'll say it again, like the cough with the mumbling a little bit, like I'm gonna fire his rear end.
Yeah,
He's out of
exactly.
here. I'm gonna fire him because I'll tell you,
But you can't. You don't have the right to say anything like that.
no,
And that could cause him a lawsuit if he said anything like that, because he has no. So you got to ask the questions that can be answered.
it can only be intentions. If the deal goes through, we intend to do this, right? But
Right.
it's even if you say it in that way, it's like, oh, we intend to continue to put Call of Duty on the PlayStation. Well, when you say that, the way I take that is you plan on putting it there forever, not for 2 years and then we're going to take it from them. You know what I mean?
Or you say, yes, we intend to provide it to Sony and their customers via Game Pass.
Oh yeah,
well, Sony doesn't allow it. Well, then Sony's the one that's keeping COD off of the PlayStation. That's not our fault. We intended to be there all along. I mean,
and
so like you said with wordsmithing, there's a million different ways you could say,
I
well,
know.
they said they're going to put it. Well, they said they were going to put it, but how did they intend to put it? There, until it's done, nobody knows. But we've seen with Bethesda, we know that all the current multi-plats before the purchase are staying multi-plat. We've seen it with Minecraft. And what do I care? I don't care if they stay. I don't care if COD stays on Sony. I don't buy it anyways. I will play it now because I don't have to pay for it. So I'll actually probably play the campaigns now.
Yeah, and people
maybe get into some multiplayer and try it, and if it's good, because every once in a while I can get hooked back into that big time.
Yeah, and the one thing about like in wordsmithing, I'll just be the honest, is like I don't like it when anybody does it. It's the same, like wordsmithing even comes to where it says, console exclusive, like exclusive, like when they did all that, like why are you why? What's this stuff mean? Like, why is it so secretive, things like that. I don't like those things.
Timed exclusive.
Exactly. I'm just
release exclusive or console.
Can you just say what
exclusive.
It is? Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, get to the
first
point.
on Xbox or
exactly.
Yeah. But it's all these things trying to make it sound like better than what it probably really is.
The wordsmithing. But and the thing is like, the last thing that I remember recently Phil Spencer talking about, and he did say this, kind of in this way. I don't want to ellipses. I don't want to quote. It's not a quote or anything, but he talked about like, I see there being less exclusives.
Yes.
Exclusives isn't going to last much more. Right. And to me, when I hear that is, hey, Game Pass is going to be going to PlayStation. Game Pass, Microsoft is going to try to push Game Pass on everything that wants to receive them. And to me, as an Xbox gamer, or as a gamer in general, and owning an Xbox, I do not care. I do not buy the Xbox because it has Halo, because I have a PC. I buy an Xbox because I like it, and I like Game Pass, and I'm in their ecosystem, and I have friends that play there. Right? So I don't care when I see that. But when that came out, again, Twitter and everything's like, good, well then bring out what's the big games coming out like next year? They're like, well, why are you making that exclusive to place, and why can't we get it? It's like, well, you can play on here and here, but that doesn't say Starfield. It doesn't mean Starfield may not come to PlayStation. And if it does come to PlayStation, good.
Starfield
I'm happy
could.
for you. Yeah.
Starfield could. Redfall could.
Yeah. Via Game Pass.
Via Game Pass. Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, look at your television. It doesn't matter what TV you're looking at. If it's a smart TV, right?
Yep.
Or you buy a Amazon Fire Stick or a Chromecast or a Roku. It doesn't matter what TV you're playing. You're watching your entertainment. Okay, let me put it this way. It doesn't matter the piece of plastic that you're displaying your entertainment on.
Yep.
Because you can display Netflix, Hulu, Prime, Paramount, whatever, YouTube TV. It doesn't matter what plastic it's on.
Right.
That's what Microsoft is trying to get the point. Get away
Right.
from the plastic. It doesn't matter. And I know Phil would be more than happy to let PlayStation Premium Plus Super Duper, whatever crap they call it, to be available on Xbox
Right.
and available in the Samsung Game Hub and everywhere. Because the point is, and then you let's modernize. Come on, we get away from the physical piece of plastic, and that's what he even said on Bloomberg. I buy this box, you buy that box, and our kids can't play each other because we bought the wrong piece of plastic. But we
Right.
bought the same game and we can't even play together.
Yep.
That's insanity. And that's old school. That's what they're trying to get. So I don't believe Microsoft is trying to corner the market or, they're trying to bring people together. And yes, they are trying to expand their user base. And Sony should be doing the same. I
Well-
would pay for freaking Sony PlayStation Game Pass, okay, on my Xbox, or if I could even have it on my TV and use my Xbox controller and
Yep.
sync to my TV and play. I'd pay them every month and I'd play their exclusives. You can still have exclusive content. What I think Phil is saying is you having to buy a piece of plastic to get that exclusive content is going to go away, which is just like the TVs, just like your books. I can read a book on a Nook, on a Kindle, on a PC, on a phone, or go get a physical copy.
Yes, but you can only read chapters 4, 8, 9, and 10 if you have it on the Nook.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where we're at in the gaming world, right? But the funny thing is like you're right. It would be great if Game Pass, because my thing is I would love to see, and I know this isn't going to happen, but this would be my dream world, right? Phil Spencer comes out tomorrow and says, in recent events, this stuff was said. But you know what? Exclusives are silly. Exclusives are done. We are offering up Game Pass to any console that wants to allow us to be on Game Pass. You can play all of our games. Doesn't matter if it's PlayStation, this, and this. We are offering it up to anybody because exclusives are silly. And it makes us...
I think that's what he's getting to.
Yeah, and it makes us look childish, right? And then what's Sony going to do? You know what? We're going to put PlayStation Plus on Xbox and everything like that. And everybody's like, okay, well, what about your exclusives? Oh, no, we're going to keep those.
And they won't even give them to their own customers.
They won't even give them out to their... But maybe they would if they could also have the Xbox and the PC environment, right? So that's the thing is, and then when it comes down to what piece of plastic do you want to buy? Again, we've said this on our show 100 times. That comes down to the services and how good that box is and the controller and the peripherals, right? Because I can tell you, I'm going to buy the most powerful console, the best for the best bang for the buck too, which right now
also cheaper.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the best bang for the buck. It's the cheapest and the most powerful is the Xbox
Series X.
Series X. So that's the thing. That's the one I'm going to buy. If Sony wants me to get their thing instead of that, and I can play all the games on either one, guess what you got to do? Whine and cry to the regulators to make sure Xbox doesn't have. Oh wait, sorry, no, compete is what I meant to say. They have to compete. Which the thing is,
Microsoft has the cheapest next gen console. They also have the cheapest, most powerful next gen console right now. Like Sony is just like,
and the best services.
It's like, I appreciate Sony because we got as Xbox gamers, we got it great because Sony is just like, okay, bring people, come on, bring on more people over. We're happy. Water's warm. Come on in.
And the reason why we're at where we're at right now is because Sony competed in PlayStation 4 era, and Microsoft is doing exactly what Sony's doing now.
Yeah.
Right? They sat dormant and they got their butt kicked. Like, there is no denying it. You can be the biggest fanboy of an Xbox or whatever and try to talk around that. But I really think most of the fanboys of Xbox just kind of been up like, yeah, that was dumb. Like, you so dumb, that type of thing. But
so dumb.
Exactly.
You are really dumb. For real.
That is why we're here. Yeah, is because Sony, who kind of got beat up the one before were like, you know what, we really need to buckle down. We need to compete. They made a great console. And Xbox was like, we're number one, like we won last time. Like, look at our trophy that we never get. And, it's just reversed. It keeps going back and forth. So it's like, it's competition. Whining and crying like they're doing right here. It's just, it's making them look weak. And I think it's really showing like, hey, they did not prepare. They sat on their rear end a little too long, which we've said this before too. It's like they've sat and felt comfortable for too long. Even they're releasing an Elite controller, right? Sony's releasing an Elite controller. The rumor is it's going to be $199 because the Xbox Elite controller was like $179. Oh, not anymore. It's not. Now it's like $129 or something, right?
Yeah, I love that the way Microsoft is doing this, because
oh my gosh,
I would buy the core, the cheaper one.
Yeah.
And you're basically buying it without the charging, the in the case charging, which I don't use anyways. You don't have all the paddles and the thumbsticks. It's like, I don't use all that anyways. I never switched mine. Yeah, I love the actual the feel, I just love the Elite controller, and I don't even use it for all the stuff it's meant to be. I use it as if it was a standard controller I just pulled out of the box, and I love it. When I go back to the regular one now, it's like, ew. Like, I'm serious. It's like, ew, this doesn't feel right. It's like, is this a toy?
And it's so funny that they just did that right now. It's like, man, you guys, Sony just announced theirs, and they're talking about how much it's going to be, because they do have a lot of stuff in their controller, and I've heard their controller is actually really awesome, the new one with all the haptics and stuff in it.
Yeah,
but that adds price, right? So they can't sell it for nothing,
and
but
they won't. They'll sell it as a premium because that's what they do with everything.
Right.
They're basically Apple.
Well, I know, and that's why Call of Duty should be $99 on the PlayStation, because you're buying it for the premium console, right?
The quality console. It's a quality title.
Yeah. You're paying $20 for quality.
Yep.
It's the quality tax.
Quality ain't free, baby. Exactly. There you go.
But again, the whole controller,
You are really dumb. For real.
the whole controller coming out, it's like, man, you now have to release your price right after Microsoft said that they're releasing the core one, right? And yes, it's the core, but it's like, it does the same thing that kind of yours does. Like, oh, but ours got haptics. Okay, yeah. So does your regular controller. So it's like, oh my gosh, like they are just misstepping left and right. But I had some things listed here, but I think I've said everything that's in there, because it was just pretty much,
we're not broadcasting live, right?
No.
Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. How does Jim Ryan have my phone number? Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Jim. Hello, this is Mark. Jim, it's gonna be okay. Hey, dude, Phil, Jim, calm down. Phil said you're gonna get Call of Duty. No, it's okay. Relax, it'll be okay. Trust me. All right, it'll be okay. You're gonna get Call of Duty. You're gonna be okay. All right, well, I gotta go. I got a show to do. Okay, all right, bye, Jim. Wow, what? Wow.
I had no idea what you were doing right there until I came out. This is a bad time to have to use the bathroom, because I almost peed my pants.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. Let's get into it. Brun and Mark.
What you got for us today?
What you got?
Give us a list of games that we can buy and play. Okay, Rob.
Brun and Mark? Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do take the days? So I'll start out. So coming out on September 6th, we have Circus Electrique. It's a part story-driven RPG, part tactics, part circus management. So that came out on the 6th. Disney Dreamlight Valley, also on the 6th, optimized for Series XS, smart delivery, and on Game Pass. This is they say it's a hybrid between a life sim and an adventure game. I did see a trailer on this, and it's like all the Disney characters lived together and they were all in peace and harmony. And then I guess something happened and the world started to turn and go bad, and you're supposed to like bring it all back to its glory. So supposedly it's supposed to be pretty good. Also on 6th, Temtem, optimized for Series XS. It's a massively multiplayer creature collection adventure game.
All right. On September 7th, you have Game Type DX. The game art for this just looks like a random bunch of stuff, a cat's face and parkour.
What are they jumping over the cat? That's not too hard.
I don't know. Yeah. Also on the 7th is, I'm going to say Kaichu. It's Kaichu, the Kaiju dating sim. I hope I said that right.
Sure.
So, yeah. Okay. White Day, a Labyrinth named school is September 7th. Endless World, your turn.
On September 8th, we got Endless World coming to PC. Explore the external landscapes of 3D idle clicker RPG Endless World. Then also on the 8th, Radical Rex. It's a Cubite classic. He's a fire-breathing Tyrannosaurus on a skateboard who must save the dinosaur race. Then we got Steel Rising, optimized for Series XS. It's an alternate history where a tyrant king is choking Paris with an army of robotic soldiers. This is the day. So what is this? Oh, this is today. Can't believe my son hasn't mentioned this. He's been dying for this one. NBA 2K23, optimized for Series XS. So that's the latest NBA game. My son, he's probably playing his old one now on his Switch. He wants this so bad, but it's like, I think $70 even on Switch. So is the cheap ones. He's waiting till probably Christmas.
Yeah. Evie's excited for tomorrow for Splatoon 3.
Oh, cool.
But she's got COVID, poor girl. She's been locked in a room for a week.
Well, I think Dad should get her Splatoon 3 to cheer her up.
I'm picking it up tomorrow.
Nice.
The End is Nahal, if I may say so, is out on September 9th. A surreal puzzle game where everything that you put into the game is possible. So, and then the last one we have here is Castle Walker. September 9th. Castle Walker is a retro-style classic action platformer. That's it. And then Splatoon 3. which is not on the Xbox list.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, good show. I know we kind of rambled on and stuff like that, but I mean, that's the stuff from our point of view, I guess, as an Xbox show. But I just hope this gets settled sometime soon, even though it's not going to be until like next.
Oh, crap. Is he still on the phone? I thought I hung it up. I guess I muted. Go away, Jim. Bye. Man. Sorry about that. I thought I hung up, but I guess I just muted him. He's still crying.
Yeah. But you hit the speaker button instead of the hang up button. But I don't have anything else. We will be back. So since we're doing an early show for the 11th, which is our normal recording time, you will not be hearing our voices until the 18th, unless another one of these big fiascos happen again.
Until Phil responds.
Yeah. So, which will probably be tomorrow morning. We'll wake up and it'll be there.
I don't think he will. Nothing for him to respond to. But anyways.
Right. But all right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Learned Your Lesson for our music. We appreciate it. I'm Brun BJ Swick 33.
I'm Mark, aka Wingman 709, taking off.